welcome to episode 3 of Krusty's Third Nipple, the podcast as unnecessary as a face mask sign in a Douglas chip shop. My name's Kieran, and I'm joined as ever by Darren.
Hello.
And Tarig.
How are you doing, Nick?
As we welcome listeners in Angus, Fife, and Perth and Kinross into the warm bosom of Tier 3. Sorry lads, you had a good run and you blew it. In this episode, we'll be discussing what we've been watching over the last week and reviewing Tarig's choice of Borat Subsequent Moviefilm. Should you wish to get in touch, you can find us on Twitter at Krusty's Nipple, and all previous episodes are available on Spotify and anchor.fm/Krusty's Nipple, amongst other platforms. But enough of that. This episode can only start in one way. Novak Djokovic, Jelena Jankovic, Slobodan Milosevic, Nemanja Vidic, Branislav Ivanovic. Your boys took one hell of a beating. You were no match for the scowl of Steve Clark, the arse of John McGinn, the shaved napper of Lyndon Dykes, and the sweet left peg of Ryan Krusty, and the mighty paw of David Marshall. 22 years of glorious failures and bang average performances are forgiven. Yes, sir, we can indeed boogie. Tarig.
You boogie.
Tarig is the show's resident basketball fan. Does it? Does his achievement rank alongside Michael Jordan's double three-peat with the Bills? And should Netflix commission a 10-part behind-the-scenes documentary?
Oh, well, that documentary is a must-watch straight away. Yeah, watching the boogies. What a feat that was! What a night! Absolutely jigging. Just can't wait to get down to take on the old enemy. We're definitely we're doing it, and we're doing it well. And I mean, we went, what was it, 8 games unbeaten, 9 games.
It's something like that, aye.
Well, we'll not talk about last night's.
That's fine.
Even though we've done pretty well last night, we're still passed the ball about. We're still dominated, but man, we're into the finals for the first time. 22 years. I still remember playing Brazil. What was it? Euro? Was it the Euro? No, it was World Cups, obviously.
Brazil was World Cup 98.
98, and I had my paper round. So I must have been 14 years old, maybe 13 or 14. And I remember getting out of school and sprinting round my paper round. Must have done it in the fastest possible time. Probably got home with 95 tillies still in my bag. But got home, got the face painted, and still remember that feeling of the first. Now we're going to be able to legally drink at this one, and it's going to be amazing.
I was the same. I think my mate helped me finish the papers so we can get round and watch it. And I was definitely 14. I was just to give you some sort of focus on this, Darren. Like, we were 14, as we're saying, right? So we are looking at this, watching people go down to England in Euro 96, watching people over in France in 98, and thinking like that's what I'm going to do when I'm an adult, like without a doubt. And yet, it's taken fucking 22 years for it to happen.
To put it in perspective, I'm 19, and it's not happened within my lifetime until now. To make all the listeners feel old.
Look at this in a positive way. That does make me feel fucking old. Look at this in a positive way. The first time that you can legally drink at one of these things, and it fucking happens. Unbelievable. Like, here's the places that European Championships have been hosted, right, since Belgium and the Netherlands, Portugal, Austria, Switzerland, Poland and Ukraine, and France. And not to mention World Cups in Germany and Russia.
Yeah.
Just, Jesus Christ, we've all just watched them. Even Wales and Northern Ireland got there. That was the hardest, man. But it doesn't matter now. See when Northern Ireland got there in the whole Will Griggs on Fire tune. That's when I was the most jealous, but we've got it now. We've got it, and we will be boogieing.
Yeah.
See, they're trying to get them to sing it with the Scotland team.
I heard one of the singers on the radio today. She says she will. She'll re-record it with them. I don't know how that's going to sound like, but
I just like the story behind it.
But yeah, definitely an emotional night because I actually I watched it with the whole family was huddled around the TV, just couldn't keep our eyes off of it, and we thought, all right, we're dominating. We got the first goal. It was just like the place came unglued, and then we thought it's okay, we'll win this, and we'll win this, and no time to spare. We'll just see it in the match, and then the unfortunate happened. Scotland did what they always do and made it really hard on themselves.
Aye. See, in terms of like the perfect sort of movie, like with a 3-part structure, that had it. I had everything. You had the setup right, so everyone was going fine. We're going to the Euros, right? This is pretty. We're cruising here, and then the confrontation is the goal in the last minute, and we're gutted. We're on the floor.
The heartbreak, yeah.
And then third part, the resolution. David Marshall brings it home.
I think I said to you, Dad, when I was staying at yours the other night, a lot of kind of from my perspective, a lot of the penalty shouts often won by the taker, like the kick taker. But it's just good to see the keeper actually save us in more ways than one. And it's like with the penalties, it's just kind of like you don't really expect the keepers to do that well. You know, and think, oh, I'm going to slot 4 or 5 past you, and it'll just be whoever messes up wins. But no, the keeper just like came out, and he did a really good performance. And I love his reaction right at the end. It's just like he looked to the ref just to make sure, and then the celebration was on.
Yeah, how good has Twitter been this week as well? It's just been so enjoyable.
Definitely. Did you see the Yuri Geller one?
No, I've not seen that one.
He posted a video 20 minutes after it, right? So 20 minutes after it, and he's standing there with the TV in the background, and he's saying he's got Scotland top in his hands. He's like, I'm going to move the ball. I'm not going to move the ball. I'm just going to make sure he misses. I'm just going to make sure he misses. And he just
he's an
stands
absolute dish.
Yeah. Speaking of video, I saw Andy Murray's reaction, which is captioned by like, fuck's sake, we must be hard being Andy Murray's neighbours. And then Marshall saves, and all you hear is a faint yes from Andy Murray. And you're thinking like, you know, after the game, to the pundits' reactions, and they're on their feet, and they're like, yeah. Expected that, but Andy Murray goes, yes. You're thinking a guy who's won tournaments, who's gone to those positions, gone to Wimbledon.
Don't worry. To be fair, that is probably noisy where he lives.
Yeah. You nearly got an asthma for that one. But...
Has he came out and said anything about that yet? No. He thought he'd defend himself a wee bit.
I seen the save, and then the players running, and all the people celebrating in their houses set to like Rocky music, and it was tremendous. That was tremendous. You saw Andy Murray in that one actually. He's given it a sort of clenched fist. But yeah, maybe not so much any noise. Well, it's hard to tell because you're just hearing the big bells from the Rocky theme and stuff. So.
Yeah, of course, the one with the Titanic song.
Yeah,
that's a football classic. I think whenever an emotional moment happens in football, someone's straight into their computer trying to edit one in.
Did you see Dan Fletcher was in the studio calling for people to get their vines on the go?
I got to a point where my little brother looked at me and said, Dan, what's a vine? And I was like, oh, no, I feel old. Like, that was the predecessor to your TikToks nowadays.
Yeah, I know. Like, does it feel that long since you've qualified? Fucking vines. Let's what else? Let's move on then, Tarig. What's been happening in the Brady household other than that?
It's been a fairly busy week as always in the Brady household. Well, I've told you before that I've got I'm not sure if I did actually. My wife, she's Polish, and my mother-in-law is staying with us just now. We've managed to sneak her in just before all the lockdown happened. So I've got my wife, my 3 daughters, and my son occasionally popping in, But my mother-in-law, she's a character, we'll say. She's kept me very entertained. Yeah. So she doesn't speak much English. Okay, so very basic English. She's taught herself over the last, say, 8 years. And we went away up for a nice wee walk. There's the Blue Door walk just outside Edsall, which is lovely. It's an absolutely beautiful walk. You go through this wee blue door and you just walk along past this nice river. And so as we were driving up there, I've got my mother-in-law in the front seat, and she points to me and she says, "What's the name of that river? Or what's the river?" And I was like, "Christ, I've not got a clue. I think it's called McCock." She was like, "Ah, nice McCock." So me and the missus are just peeing myself laughing. A couple of days later, we hear her talking to my wife's brother, saying, "We went to McCock for a walk."
A walk on McCock?
Beautiful McCock. Nice, long, beautiful, flowing McCock. So yeah, so that was one wee Polish mother-in-law story. Another day, I was put our Polish TV channel on the Fire Stick, and I had to go away and pick up the kids, and I just left it playing, and I just said, "Right, I'll be back in half an hour." Went away, came back, and when I came back, she was all flustered and bothered. I was like, "What's wrong?" And then got Izzy to ask her, and she said that when she was watching it, the TV must have went off or something, because the big Fire Stick sign came up on the TV, and she just seen it saying fire, and she thought the TV was a way to go on fire. So she went across to it, started touching the TV to see if it was getting hot, and started looking outside to see if there was any neighbours that could come in and help her. And then 2 minutes later, we came through the door. Just seen a big fire and seen the sign.
I like how the first instinct to see when the word fire is to go over and touch it, just to make sure it's indeed a fire.
She's a legend. She's always up for a good laugh.
I like that she thinks the TV's got the sense of mind to tell you, "I'm away going fire."
Run.
Technologically, we're not that advanced here. We're not the smart homes. Yeah.
Yeah, you. I'm away going fire. You better be sorry.
It's like Mission Impossible, where the message is about to self-destruct in 5 seconds.
But it's brilliant having her here.
What's the name again, Tarig?
Vieshu.
Vieshu,
yeah. So she's going about just speaking to everybody and anybody that she can, even though we're broken English. Apparently, I just told her, one of my brother-in-laws, this story about the macaque, and he said, "Oh yeah," because he stays in Dubai, and he said that he's got a story for us where she was talking about a hand job. So I'll find that story. I'll get that story, and then I'll fill you in next week, hopefully.
It's like a sitcom. Obviously, we call you like the Brady Bunch, but I think it's taken already. But
yeah.
It's like there's always a wacky story based off a misunderstanding.
And now you've got a manic Polish mother-in-law in the mix.
Oh, exactly.
That's the card to the ad when it's getting a bit stale.
Yeah.
You know,
7 series needed something to happen, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, and Dan, we're expanding to the 12th and 13th series with a new family in Dubai and Sudan and all this. So we're going international. We're better than the Kardashians. Like.
Got the holiday episodes coming in.
The holiday special.
Yeah.
You're certainly trying your best when you're pimping the bairns in the Evening Telegraph and any podcast going, eh?
Don't you worry, I'll get every one of my children on this podcast at some point.
Oh God, trying to catch the ear of a casting director in Hollywood just to make sure you get a show. Maybe the next Netflix thing we'll review is your show.
Yeah, I've got big plans for my retirement. They better get making money. What about you, Daz? What have you been up to?
Just mostly work, but I'm trying to walk whenever I can. But in fact, I've actually just been kind of more hooked on the Joe Rogan podcasts. I listened to one today with Mike Tyson, and oh my god, it's such a laugh, but it's actually really interesting, incredible, because he's, from what I understand, he's kind of came out of retirement and he's getting himself right back in the fighting shape again. But when you listen to him speak, you hear it's actually a lot more psychological and mental. He's not just a big tough guy who like lifts weights and punches like bags or anything like that. Like he studies like warlords and like Alexander the Great and stuff like that, and sees what made them tick and what they made them conquer people, and just takes that into the ring with them. But yeah, the guy, it's just, he must be intimidating to go around, but he seems actually really funny and easygoing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. I really quite like the Joe Rogan podcast now, because you get celebrities on and you see what kind of made them happen.
Tyson's a machine, though, is he? He's just an animal when he got into that ring.
Yeah.
I remember watching a wee documentary about how his trainers just made him just so ferocious. Just when he was such a young boy, you just kind of put that into him, because he didn't have a father figure. He kind of clung on to all his coaches or his management. Well, no management. Mainly his coaches to him, and they just totally pumped him right up into it. And he just said that he had just that one track, single-minded thing. As soon as he got into the ring, he turned into this animal, and he just had that rage and that.
He goes over that in the podcast and says his coaches would say, "I'm going to get you this if you win this tournament. If he didn't win it, they wouldn't give him it." And it's not just like, "Oh, you're in second place, that's close enough." Like, no. And even like you were saying that some fights where it's like you won in the first round by knockout, he'd still be so pumped up. Like he trained for months non-stop, and got himself in such a zone that if it's over 46 seconds or whatever, he's not ready to come out that. And if the first person to say no to him is gonna get something, like he's been to jail a couple of times and stuff like that. It's incredible, because like when you think about it, so what you can push the human into, like the human mind or the human body, and he's just the prime example of that.
One thing he talks about, because that's the second time he's been on the Joe Rogan show, and the first time was maybe about 3 years ago or something, and he'd retired, he'd moved on from that person. If you can imagine him as like a bipolar sort of thing, and he's put that to bed. He smokes weed, he's absolutely chilled, he's a good laugh. So I think it'd be interesting for you to go back and listen to the first time he was on, because then he gives you more about, the difference between this Mike and Iron Mike, so to speak.
Yeah.
He speaks about that a lot more.
That,
because when he's on the second time, the one you mentioned, he's in that zone, and it's almost as if he's like a one-track sort of mind. He doesn't allow himself to think about when he was a chilled out weed smoker who was a good person to be around, because he can't, because even though this is only an exhibition that he's meant to be doing here, I think he's just going to fucking kill him.
He can't allow himself to not be calm about it. But it's funny because he did mention that, and it's funny because how he got back into shape, because his wife or something mentioned like, "Oh, she just get in shape again. You got putting on some pounds." And like, there's a big difference between shape and fighting conditions. So he was on a bike for a couple hours. Then he thought, he just like it's like muscle memory. He just got right back into it again, and before he knew it was happening, he was like phoning people up, or was getting calls saying, "You're fighting this guy." He's like a bull seeing red. Really, that's what I can describe him as. Incredible guy, though.
Do you not say something like he went on the treadmill intending to do like half an hour or something, and he stayed on for 2 hours?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, someone twigged because he thought he was getting fat. Somebody mentioned that, and he's fuck this.
Talk about stuff being like movies, like with the Scotland team. this is a movie. This is a comeback movie. This is like Rocky coming back. This is, but it's like in real life, and it's not like a depression in Rocky. Like something bad happens to him and he's got to come back, and it's some dramatic story. This one, he's just like his body just snapped back into shape. His mind just went, "No, you're doing this again."
Well, Jamie Foxx is a way to play him in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to do like a bio movie for Mike Tyson.
I think he'll do a good
should
job.
Be fairly, well, hopefully, Christ, you don't want to do a bad job on a Mike Tyson bio, do you? No one he's still alive. But Tyson after you.
Jamie Foxx is quite talented, so I think he'll do a good job. But what else I up to? I'd actually watched the series with my mum on Netflix called The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is made by the same people who did The Haunting of Hill House, if you saw that. And it's kind of like a similar thing, but I actually quite prefer the Bly Manor, because of the Hill House, it's like something traumatic happened 20 odd years ago, and it's now the family as adults dealing with that and grouping up and going to confront that thing. But in Bly Manor, it's like a story told like the night before a wedding, and it's like about this family, I think in the 80s or something, live at Bly Manor, and it's kind of about the people that are there and the ghostly goings on. But you realise that nothing's all right. It's never all right with these haunting shows, and there's a couple episodes. Yeah, like 3 episodes kind of like just follows everyone. Then after that it comes like solo episodes about a person or 2 people, and it really just kind of puts everything else into focus. And I love shows like that where it's like a lot of the characters at the focus of it, at the front of it, and like characters you thought, wow, he's a bit of a dick, and you realise, oh well, there's a reason behind that. And just it's really quite good, and it's a recommend. And me and Mum don't really get a lot of time to watch stuff together. Obviously, I work and she works as well, but it was actually the episodes just kind of flew by before we knew what was happening. We're watching the second one or the third episode. So but no, it's a really good show.
9 episodes, is that right, on Netflix?
Yeah, 9 episodes.
Right, 9 episodes.
Which I quite like. There's a lot of, I don't know if they do it so much now, but I remember a couple of years ago there was always a push to have 13 episodes or 12 episodes, and it made shows feel a bit bloated. But I think they trust this guy who makes the haunting ones just to have free reign, really.
I kind of like when I see something started and it's like it's only 6 episodes or something. I like that sort of self-contained sort of format.
Because it knows its worth, and it's not going to speak too much about one thing or wait too long or introduce a character or like a subplot just to do it. Or anything like that.
Do you guys ever start watching something and not check how many episodes it is? Because that's an interesting watch, especially if it's like a crime drama, right? Which I'm all about. So it's the police chasing the bad guy, right? And like episode 2, he could be in the interview room, and if you know that there's 10 episodes, he's not leaving. He's leaving that interview room. You know what I mean. But
see, like that Des.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, well, I did check to see how long that was. And,
see, that's good. Yeah, that was a good example, actually.
And I was just like, right, I kept this going. And then when I got told it was only 3 episodes, I was already halfway through the second one. I was like, oh, fuck. I actually wanted that to be a wee bit longer, but then I couldn't see it going much further in the same instance. But then, with that was a set storyline though, so you couldn't really fault it because it was so much in the public eye. But that'll go with your true crime kind of.
Yeah, we watched that. That was good. As much as you can enjoy something like that, I did enjoy it.
David Tennant was amazing.
He was, it was immense.
Yeah. My answer's a little bit different. If it's just one season, I don't look. But if it's multiple seasons, I'm like, how long are we talking here? Like, because it's just kind of good to see, because one season might have 10 episodes and the second season has 20. It just might need that much. But I always find that interesting to see what shows like that length. But I see like a thing on Netflix, you know, they sometimes they have shows that release episodes weekly. I try to avoid knowing how many episodes there are left because you can find it online. You can Google it and say, "Oh, okay, it's 8 or something like that." I'm like, "Oh no," because I don't know. It just puts a ticking clock on my head. But what show was I watching? It was Better Call Saul. Actually, not too long ago, and I was just kind of like, "Well, I wouldn't get home." Or actually, I don't know if lockdown would happen at that point actually, but I'd be home. I was like every Friday, new episode of Better Call Saul. I'd finish work and then just watch it, and it was something to look forward to, you know.
I suppose you're then not thinking, "Oh, that's going to end soon," because I was just thinking about that when you started actually looking into how many episodes you've got left. Because growing up, you never got that for any TV series. It's only in the recent past that you're able to kind of check that.
Yeah.
Even watching likes of Lost and The Wire and things, you weren't able to check and see how many episodes and how. I think maybe the cliffhanger may have kind of changed that, where a lot of seasons ending on a cliffhanger, people would then check to see how many episodes they've got left until that end. Until the end of that season, until they actually get this cliffhanger to find out. That might have changed the concept of people looking to find out how many episodes are in a series.
One of the things that put me off, Lost. I mean, that was kind of groundbreaking. I think pretty much everybody was watching it at the time. And then
I've still not finished it.
No, near of it. It was when I found out that the writers didn't know where it was going to go. And I was just like, oh, what is the point? What's the point in getting invested in something? I appreciate that. Yeah. But what is the point of getting invested in something that just might not end well, might not even have the same people finishing it? And
yeah.
I think because there was a couple of seasons, but Prison Break as well. That was around the same time as the writer's strike and all that jazz.
But Prison Break's pretty generic though, isn't it? And it's almost like 2 or 3 cliffhangers every episode. You know, is he going to die? Is he going to die? Is he going? No, he's not going to die. He's not going to die. Is he going to get caught? Is he going to get caught? Nah, he's not going to get caught.
The shows just stopped after the first season.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. The whole
maybe the second one, and then that was it.
See the thing with the whole kind of Netflix model and the streaming services. Do you think that's kind of killed the cliffhanger? Maybe not as when it happens. Like if it's getting released weekly and then you have to wait like 8 months for the show to come on again. Maybe not then, but when shows just get released in bulk, you know, it's kind of
because the whole point of the cliffhanger is having to wait.
Yeah,
isn't it? So
and then then the
probably
Netflix, you're 5, 4, 3, 2, and then you're
like, oh, can't wait for 5 seconds.
Well, I didn't miss them. As I said, like Lost was full of them. Prison Break full of them.
24.
24. Oh, jeez, that was built on it, was it? That was
cliffhanger you couldn't get to a beep beep.
You couldn't watch that. I'm glad that's not continuing that sort of format.
I remember
the whole thing about. On you go.
Sorry. When we done a 24 binge over 24 hours.
Yeah. Took a day off work and never moved to the couch. That's when we were watching.
Sorry, on you go.
But yeah, the whole in 24, it was always like, right, I've got your daughter. Always the fucking daughter getting caught, was it? We've got our hostage, and you've got 25 minutes until we kill her. Lo and behold, there's 25 minutes left until the top of the hour.
Don't worry, we'll give you advert breaks.
But first, the worst from our sponsors. God, I wish we could have watched 24. Hopefully, that's kind of one of the things that get brought back. Like, you know, like Netflix makes those shows, and obviously there's new shows getting made every minute. But kind of like old iconic shows, not to call you guys old, but to kind of
you
get
just
brought
did.
back.
And you did it earlier on as well, so that's twice.
Is this the episode?
Young whippersnapper, you.
Darren calls everyone old. There's your title. But I don't know, shows like that, I wish they kind of got a revival of sorts getting brought back. Because I don't know, my granddad's really into that.
I would say you should just go and watch 24, because I don't think they're going to make them like that anymore.
No, they ran that into the ground, I think.
I never meant like a reboot when I said revival. I just mean like kind of giving it a new life by put on services again.
Right, yeah.
Because that's kind of like how you evolve almost nowadays.
You should go back and watch at least the first season of 24, because, and then after that, you know exactly what the next 7 seasons are going to be.
Pretty much, yeah. Just a different foreign terrorist.
Yeah, David Palmer's still my first president.
So I watched. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Captain Fantastic.
No.
No, right. So
no, I don't think so. No.
It's Viggo Mortensen, who was in Lord of the Rings. He's the king.
Lord of the Rings,
aye.
Yeah.
Although he looks a lot in this, he looks like Woody Harrelson. I kept thinking it was like a young Woody Harrelson. It's so weird. But so the story is that he's got 6 kids and he's raising them off the grid, in the forests and just outside like Washington State, or maybe inside Washington State. He's educating them. He's got them like they go through like a rigorous physical sort of training regime. So they're fit as anything. They're really clever. The first scene is like the oldest son killing a deer by a knife, eating the heart, and becoming a man. So that was kind of like a ritual. And while that sounds quite savage, and it is, there's kind of more to them. They're more well-rounded than most of us, really. And without going too much of spoilers, the mum dies early on in the thing, and that's what forces them into kind of like modern society. Like they've got to go and have a back and forth with her parents about funeral arrangements. A couple of things happen that brings his parenting into question, and it's all about how they kind of interact.
Well, especially these rigorous training regimes that they've got on the go.
Yeah, like there's another scene where they're rock climbing and one of the kids injures himself and he doesn't help him. He's like, well, sort yourself out.
There's like a survival of the fittest thing.
There's nobody coming to save you here. What would you do? Look around you, figure it out. And obviously when that goes on, like, the modern America doesn't like that.
No.
Is it based in today's time, or is it?
Yeah. It's based now, yeah. And then when the oldest son kind of flips a bit with university, he kind of sees the world out there, so he starts to think about could he do it. But it sounds quite grim, but it's a drama. It's not like a thriller or anything. It's a drama, but there's humour in it. There's loads of humour. It's kind of their total disregard for modern life, for capitalism, for religion is hilarious. In the law, there's another scene where they just go and rob a supermarket, and he gives the kids a mission, and it's mission free the food. And so he fakes a heart attack. He fakes a heart attack in the middle of the aisle. His youngest son is like flapping about with a bottle of pills. Meanwhile, the other 5 kids are legging it outside all the food. They've got a bus, which that's their only sort of like modern machine. And they're on the bus and they get stopped by the police, and the policeman comes on, and the oldest son just bursts into like a Jesus family, a Jesus song. Like they're a bunch of like New World Christians or something like that, and the policeman just legs it. He's like, "I'm not enough of this. You guys are good to go."
Just scaring them off.
Yeah, so I would recommend it. It was really, really touching. It's funny, and it kind of, I think there's things to learn from us about.
Is it a film or a series?
Yeah, that's a film. It's from 2016, and it's on Netflix.
Cool.
Do you know
What's
what
it called again?
Captain Fantastic.
Captain Fantastic.
I'll put the link in the episode notes.
Yeah,
right,
I guess it's kind of like family can be what you want or what you need it to be. You know, it doesn't always have to be standards or what everyone else says it should be. Even though they probably shouldn't be robbing shops and stuff like that, but I don't know. I feel like is it kind of. I'm getting the feeling from what you said they kind of fit together as a group.
Oh, they do. Yeah, they're so well.
Yeah.
He's brutally honest with them to the point where if you ask a question like, "Daddy, what's a penis?" Like a 4-year-old asking that, he'll tell you exactly what it is. He'll maybe even show him. He'll explain what it is, what it does, in total matter of fact terms. Because he's like, well, what's the point in hiding? Like all those sort of taboo subjects. They're sitting at his sister's dinner table, and one of her kids asks a question, and she sort of flirts around it, tries to protect him from the truth a little bit, just kind of gives him bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And he's like, spills it out right there, right on the table. This is what happened, and it's.
I think I might have seen a clip on this where he goes up to somebody hurts his kid, or his kid gets hurt in school, and he just goes up to the boy's house and just batters the boy's dad in front of him.
No, that's not because they're not in school. He homeschools them. But that kind of rings a bell though. That scene.
I remember that. I'm sure. I thought it was the king from Lord of the Rings that done it, but
right, yeah.
It might be him in a different film. You never know.
Yeah. No, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I might actually give that a watch. It seems pretty interesting. I kind of like stuff like that when it's like alternative families or like kind of dysfunctional families and stuff like that. I think it's quite funny to watch.
What you kind of have to keep catching yourself is obviously you see them from the start, right? So they're the protagonists, and you kind of associate with them and empathise with them pretty early on, and especially with the death of the mother. But as soon as they go into society, right, you kind of catch yourself. You're still rooting for them. Yeah. There's moments where you catch yourself and you're thinking, if me, walked into like a supermarket and saw a family like that, you would think, what the fuck is
Child
this?
services would get called.
You'd probably be just like everybody else.
They're Douglas.
First in the intro, now here. Oh, Douglas.
Yeah, I know. Well, taking a pound in the day.
Aye. Up next, we're going to talk about Borat Subsequent Moviefilm.
So you've heard us stutter through a few episodes now, and if you're thinking I could do better than they 3 rapes, then you're probably right. You can even do it right from your mobile phone. The free Anchor app has all the tools to record and edit your podcast, and Anchor will do all the distribution to places like Apple Podcasts and Spotify for you. You can even make money right from the start. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Here's Tarig's mother-in-law to tell you more.
Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
There you go. Simply download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Just remember to plug in your mic.
The best place to listen to Krusty third Nipple. It's nice.
Yakshimash. This is nice. So, welcome back, everyone. We had a little chit chat last week, and we said that we were going to all watch Borat, the subsequent movie film. So it is nice, yes. So, guys, I watched it a couple of weeks back, and I think I've covered most of Sacha Baron Cohen's films previously. Just Ali G, he was class on that, on the, was it Tonight Show or the 11 o'clock show, I think he started off on. And then he moved on to Hollywood and started getting all these films. And this is his latest one. So what did you think, gentlemen?
Well, I don't like to kind of prepare too much about what we thought. We kind of like to think, kind of keep the reactions genuine on the podcast. But after I had to say, I heard the chat simply, I have no idea what I just watched. And of course, I hadn't seen the first one, so I was kind of chucked myself in the deep end. And,
I don't think you need it. There wasn't too much of a backstory.
Yeah, but I don't know. I wasn't really kind of old enough to watch it first when it came out. I wasn't swept up by everyone watching it, and I don't know. It was funny in parts, but it just has that awkward cringe humor that, like, for me anyway. I don't know if you guys do this, but when it gets too like that, I almost want to turn it off. I want to remove myself from the situation, but I stuck through it. What about you, Dad?
Yeah, I knew it was coming because of kind of like Borat was everywhere. You couldn't escape it. I was surprised how long ago it was. It was like 14 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's amazing. So I knew it was coming. I knew his style was to kind of put people in these cringe induced formats, and it's difficult to know what's staged and what's not. He's kind of.
I was thinking that throughout the whole movie. Yeah.
So I read one of the facts was when he was in the scenes. So he gets picked up just before the pandemic happens, and he goes to this hillbilly's kind of cabin in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he stayed in character for the full 5 days that he was with them.
Yeah,
so
I kind of thought that might have been staged because they bump into them. Like he's walking around, it's a ghost town because of the pandemic, and they're the only car there, and they just agreed to let Borat, his cameraman, and the whole crew go to their house. And then in their house, it's not just a cameraman kind of found footage style. There's cameras up in like different rooms at the top of the ceilings and stuff. So I thought this has to be like, because who let some random person and like the camera crew come in and literally set up in the house and stick cameras as far as the eye can see? I was like, okay, this must be like staged. And there's a bit with the woman. The plot of the movie is that he brings his like daughter along for the ride this time, and she drops her off at this house, the black woman, and tells her to look after her. But then she later on in the movie starts bringing up like the themes of the film and like the motivations and saying, "Oh, you should like be your own woman. You should not listen to that guy anymore." It's like you wouldn't be saying that had like you're not been told to say it. Like that's kind of the point of the film.
So is she been primed on how to respond to this girl, or?
I think she was just an actress. I don't know. It's because she's saying all the facts.
What needs to be said to move the story on? She says it.
Yeah. Like a character in a movie would that you wouldn't look twice at, but
I'm not sure how much is actually. Well, there is definitely staged parts in it. But it is. I don't know how much of those types of the scenes that we've just talked about are actually staged.
Yeah.
Because you said
I would like to believe that the one,
because their reactions do seem quite genuine.
Yeah. I mean, the reactions when he takes her to the beauty kind of pageant. Well, not even pageant. It's the kind of
the where she gets the makeover.
Elocution type. Yeah. The kind of like elocution type lesson.
Yeah.
Dance thing, and where he turns to the old guy, and he says, "How much?" And the guy says,
I think that's
right, yeah. That's the kind of dinner dance thing, isn't it?
It's the southern thing, yeah.
Yeah. He kind of goes, "Oh, how much?" And
what
does he say?
$500.
$500, and his daughter just turns on and goes, "You're disgusting."
That did feel real, and that felt so weird, kind of like I think they said a dad and daughter dance or something like that. And I don't know, that was awkward, but I turned off there. But like the thing, to make my point clear, like 2 examples from the film, when he goes into the tech shop and like he pranks the guy with like the phone connected to the TV and like what he searches and the guy freaks out and stuff. And does the FaceTime, like, oh, what are you doing in there? I think that's like a prank that's real. But with the guy with the fax machine, and they're doing the fax machines back and forth from currently Kazakhstan. Back and forth, and one of them's like a dick pic and stuff like that. I feel like that's like you wouldn't allow that if you if you own that, and he's just really happy. He's just like nodding along. Like I feel like that's staged. There's a lot more. There's a narrative built around certain pranks in the film, I think.
I can't remember loads from the first one, but see the YouTube kind of clip that you sent us, Tarig. Not quite a documentary on it, but it's basically a guy who says that Sacha Baron Cohen's a genius, and here's why. And he points to a bit in the first film where he ends up on the camper van, on the motorhome of these 3 like jocks. Yeah. And so he's on there, and this kind of resonates with him being in the hut with the rednecks, and so he's in character, and these 3 guys believe that he's a journalist and he's filming this documentary, and they're in it, and they just kind of go along with the ride. And what they say to him, like the black woman in the second one, moves on the film, the kind of discourse, what they say changes him, and change it for the rest of the movie. And then what the guy says is that these jocks don't own the motorhome as is suggested in the film, and they didn't meet him by accident. So some of it is staged, but I think the reactions are genuine. But it does make you think when you go.
See what's really good, the actress Maria Bakalova, or however you say her last name, see how she breaks away from him kind of near the tail end. Well, what she actually had to do was start up the internet interview company, the kind of document company or production company, sorry. And she actually made it quite big for that production company. And then there's scenes that got cut where she was actually going into the White House, and then she was interviewing a few people in the White House, and she was kind of showing how close she actually got to Trump and stuff like this.
All right, okay.
Because the company did actually get quite a bit of momentum.
Is this how she got
this is how she got so close to him, to Giuliani, because they actually made they took her out of the filming so that she could actually focus on building this up, and then so that she could then get this Giuliani interview, and that was the only way for it to happen. So because all that was kind of going on, it makes me more susceptible to the reactions to everybody else throughout the rest of the film, thinking, well, Americans, you can't, it's undoubted, Americans are daft. Look at the amount of people that are following Trump. They're really, sorry, I can't call them daft, they're just naive.
I think I should have to say
massively naive.
I'd go with some being pretty daft, though.
Fucking stupid bastards. But yeah, so that's how it makes it seem more truthful that he is actually able to tell them a couple of things, and then they take it as
I think you do need to give him loads of credit in what goes behind this. I think at face value, I
just wish we saw more.
At face value, you kind of think, well, he's just set them up for a fall film that got a couple of cheap laughs, and this is it. But like you're saying, to get to that stage, to get to the people that he's got to set the scenes, he's got to kind of do a lot of work. He's got to stay in character, all for the jokes. And another thing the documentary brought up was that he can go in there with like a kind of loose script, but he has to bounce off what they say. So their reactions dictates his reactions to that, and that moves on the film. And he's very good at responding to what they say, rather than, oh shit, I thought you were going to say someone else. I had this written down. This is what I wanted to say. He did that with Ali G, with his interviews with all these famous people their reactions were real. That's what he's really good at. Yeah, I guess my kind of question is, a lot of people since the emergence of Trump have said that Trump and American politics now is like beyond satire, because it's so ridiculous in real life that you can't take the piss away anymore, because
such a character,
and see the bit where he's on stage and he's getting them to sing.
that was horrible.
That to me is the easiest thing for him. That would be the easiest thing for him to do. Just go in there, pretend to be a wreck.
That was real, yeah.
Oh yeah, that takes no skill whatsoever. You know, put a little clap and chant or something. It'll go along with it. Of course it will.
I mean, he couldn't take that type of right-wing approach to Borat. He had to go down the sexist route, because if he took the right-wing approach, he wouldn't be able to stop. To kind of getting the Americans to jump on board with it, or to have any type of shock value, because they're that far gone.
What do you think about the? I thought that the cake scene where he asked them to say, spell out on the cake, Jews will not replace us.
Yeah,
there was
I was horrified, and it kind of brought up the controversy of the whole cake thing years ago.
The gay cake.
Yeah.
I think that must have been a nod to that.
Yeah, there's definitely a bingo card of topics. Like there's a bit where the daughter gets on Facebook for 5 minutes and then suddenly becomes a Holocaust denier. And it was something we talked about in the last podcast with the rabbit holes people can get into. So it felt like it was like a bingo card getting played of hot topics and things.
Yeah, and with that, the whole Epstein thing and that, I just felt wasn't needed.
No.
Yeah, it's an extra scene that could have been done without. If he's wanting to stick to the one kind of focus. Things like that seemed forced, whereas what we've been talking about, the best bits are he set it up and let it run and reacted to it. But he does a lot of kind of wee nods to different people throughout these films, because even in Bruno, Baron Cohen had a meeting with Liam Gallagher after an awards show, and he said to him beforehand that he was going to be doing a joke about him. He said, "Look, I'm going to do a joke. Are you okay with it?" And he was like, "Yeah, no problem." So he ended up going up on stage, and he didn't do the joke. And then he's like, "Right, okay." And then they go to this after party, and he's sitting there and he's speaking to him. And he goes, he starts getting in his face. He's like, "How did you not do the joke?" Because it just didn't have time. It just didn't kind of flow very well, so it just didn't bother doing it. So why the fuck would you not do a joke about me, motherfucker? He starts fucking having a right go at him. So in Bruno, he actually gets the no Gallagher hair. So that's where he kind of took that from. So that's a wee nod to him through that. Okay, so there's loads of tiny wee things throughout it. Even in this one, he'd done a fart that was taken from Radio X, apparently. So Chris Moyle says, but
speaking of things that are a bit forced, I remember hearing on Twitter that that bit where he's walking into the hotel and he's dressed as a KKK member, and he's walking down the hallway, and people are like, "What's going on?" And I remember seeing that on Twitter, like, "Oh my god, some guy's just walking about." And I thought I didn't know it was anything to do with this movie, so I watched it. I was like, it just got a flashback. But in the movie, he just walks into the hallway and goes, "Haha, I'm dressed as a KKK member," and then goes into his room and gets changed.
Yeah, how far does he get?
that was just so forced. It wasn't like, "Oh, I'm going to get some guy to do this with me," or like, "Let's do this," or like some experiment that he does with everyone else. It was just for shock factor, and just to kind of make people heads turn. I was like, I felt it was quite forced, because no one approved of it. No one reacted against it. Everyone was like, "What the hell's going on?" And then that was it.
I
And it
did
was like,
wonder
there was 20 seconds in the film. Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered if that was a right wing, well, right wing, but a Republican conference that he was at. If he did that at a Democrat conference, I think the reaction would be quite different, and that would probably be interesting
he
as
didn't
well.
do it in front of like political types. I don't think it was just in a lobby of a hotel. But there was that bit at the I think it was the Pence conference or something like that, where he's got his daughter over his shoulder and he's dressed as Trump.
Yeah,
that's an experiment right there, and that's supposed to get a reaction out of people. So there was good bits kind of like that, but there was also bad bits where it's just so forced.
Yeah, the good bits for me is when he comes up and it is a genuine reaction. It couldn't be planted. It couldn't be scripted.
Yeah,
they're the best bits. The bits that he's kind of forced. He's not looking for a genuine sort of interaction with anybody at that point when he's walking.
No.
He's just seeing what you can get away with.
I think the problem he's got is because he's had success with the other movies that he's not going to get that genuine reaction as often. No.
Yeah. That's where I think
he's suffering from success.
Yeah, the fact that if he's having to force these things, then it's never going to play out the way that he's wanting it to play out.
By bringing his daughter, that kind of opened up a whole new ball game of scenarios that you can get. The whole a scene where the cake, his daughter eats the cake and eats the baby off the cake. I've seen that coming a mile away. I've seen so many episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm that I've seen that coming a million miles away.
And that's the setup there. Obviously, there's a language barrier in quotes unquote with the characters, and he goes to the doctor, or I don't actually know what to call that type of doctor, but and it says, "Oh, there's a baby inside her. We must get her out." And it's obviously not communicated that it's a little decoration baby, and it's just like this. And this guy, I don't know if that was a real reaction, but then why would you have a cameraman?
Well, wasn't he basically a pro-life sort of guy? So he was an anti-abortion guy. So he's coming from you shouldn't abort no matter what. And the joke there is, well, how ridiculous can I make this so-called pregnancy that you would still go along with it? And the fact that she's 15 and that was her dad that done it behind a dumpster. Yeah, he still wasn't like, you should terminate this parent. Yeah, I'll show you a doctor.
I think that bit went over my head that he was like a pro-life kind of guy.
I'm pretty sure that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Do you want to talk about kind of what the movie was setting up the whole time with the thing? Giuliani, yeah. I saw that when it hit the news, and I thought, oh my god, this guy's like a nonce or something. He's touching himself from his 15-year-old girl. What's going on? And then you watch the movie, and then he's just doing an interview with that production company you mentioned, and then Borat ruins the interview. So they go in the side room, and he's got like an interview, kind of like a microphone pack thing that's tucked in underneath his shirt. And so she grabs it off and takes it out. And so he leans back on this bed. And he's a really old guy, and he's tucking his shirt back in. And Borat bursts into the room and says, "She's 15, what are you doing?" And the guy freaks out and then tries to leave. But I don't know. I felt like they were trying to, try to entrap him or something like that.
Definitely were trying to entrap him.
Yeah.
If that hit the news and somebody had people had the wrong reaction to that, because you can't predict someone's reaction to something.
Yeah,
that's what it's kind of about. He could have been hung to high heaven, and done whatever. So I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I feel like this movie was his kind of saving grace, because they saw it, there was plenty of evidence this was all planned. But if you read in the news this creepy old guy's touching himself from a 15-year-old girl, you're thinking,
creepy old guy who married his cousin.
I didn't know that, but
that joke was real. That joke was true story.
So it was definitely the timing of it needed to be bang on. And the left wingers they definitely ran with it all over. You've seen it all over kind of the CNN news and all that, saying, "Oh, Giuliano and with a 15-year-old girl and all this." But it could have been innocent. I seen it. You see her touching his leg and all this, and just kind of playing and just kind of building it right up. So it's the big thing that the whole point in that was, let's get this in the news. Let's not have to spend too much on our advertising budget, and let's just kind of let it chuck that out there just a couple of weeks before they were ready to release this, and let it fly. And that's what he does, and that's what he does so well. And because Giuliani's, you've already got questions on him, on his ethics, with him marrying his cousins, exactly. Then it works out even better. So it's well worked.
Genius. It was quite a coup to get that. It was genius. And you're right.
Giuliano fell right into face.
He didn't
go face first right into her.
And at that point in the movie, she's
exactly.
She's done the whole beauty transition, and so Dad, you can probably look up how old the actress is, but
I did. I think she's 24.
24. Well, at that point, she doesn't look like the 15-year-old girl, and they made jokes of that of all.
I can't do that.
But I'm just saying, like it's not like she looks 15, and then he does this creepy stuff to her. She just looks like as she is now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was kind of weird situation from the get-go, and it's just let's frame this guy.
I think though, it's probably done now. I think half of this movie was forced and was kind of filler, let's say, and half was really good. And
the fact that it's been splashed, been split in half with the pandemic as well. They've had to work quite a bit on their feet.
And with the election,
to kind of change all that,
taking the news away as well.
I think they were trying to get it out just in time for the elections, which they've done quite well. And I'm not sure how much what they've had to chop out of it, what other controversies they would have kind of had in their back pocket.
Yeah.
But I think it was just because it was one of the last movies that I'd watched and had a nice wee bit of controversy kicking about through it. And
I had a good time.
It's always good to get a wee bit of Ali G. Aye. Booyakasha. Respect.
What do you guys think about that sort of comedy, cringe comedy? Like, do you enjoy it? Because there's a long history of it. Like I mentioned Curb Your Enthusiasm, but you can go back further to
Alan Partridge,
Steve Coogan, I was going to say. I find it really, really good in small doses. That's kind of where I sit with it.
I like it.
I've seen a bit of the UK Office as well. That's kind of like the king of that, Ricky Gervais and stuff like that. He's the butt of every joke and stuff.
It's great because you want to look away, but you just can't. You just kind of It's great because it gives you that emotion, and there's not many things that you watch on TV that can actually get you to react in that type of way as often as it does. So for actors and for comedians to be able to do that, it gives it kind of.
It's bang on because like compare it to an episode of Friends. That's what I was going to say. Where the jokes are written, prepared, set up, and then you get the canned laughter. Yeah. And they're so over the top. They're so like in their delivery. You're looking for a bit of realism, and this gives you a little bit of realism.
And I love it when something happens to somebody. Somebody trips up and falls on their face. You've got to piss yourself laughing at that.
With these kind of situations, I like to think, what would I do in that situation? I would probably just curl up in a ball and die. But I can do that, you know, or
There's
face
other things
that
he's done.
consequence.
Sacha Baron Cohen, do you remember the, I can't remember where it was, but he's a big, huge army guy, right? This doesn't sound very... This character, he's massive. He's from Ukraine or something, right? And he hates, but he's massively pro-gun. And who he's speaking to is a politician in America who was like pretty much a warmonger, and not overseen invasions in Iraq twice, Afghanistan, and everything. So he's interviewing him. So it's Ali G style, and he's interviewing him, and he says shit like, "What was your favourite war?" You put America in. And then he says, back home. So they start going on about school shootings and stuff. So back home, we train 3, 4, 5, 6-year-olds with guns to protect their schoolmates. So they'll pick somebody in the class to get a gun. And he says, "Do you think that would fly in America?" And the guy's like, wow, yeah, we were actually thinking of doing something like that. We were going to go about 7 or 8, but you guys went 3 or 4. He says, yeah, 3 or 4's fine. He says, we don't do 2 because, yeah, you've heard of the phrase terrible 2s, but 3's fine.
It's who is America? That's what it was.
Is that what it is?
Just like an idea.
Colonel Aaron Morad.
Aye. And there's another one where it's probably the same thing if he's doing different characters in this. But he's like a preppy sort of school teacher type, and he's promising this little hick town in America masses of investment. So he's got like a screen on a whiteboard sort of thing going on, and he says, "Yeah, there's going to be loads of investment here. Who would like that?" I put all their hands up. And says, "Yeah, it's going to be £24 million into this little town. Yeah, who wants that?" I put hands up. He says, "Well, it's going to be the world's biggest mosque." And they all just
they'll start losing the shit. What?
Yeah.
No, fuck them.
Fuck that. There's one guy who says,
not in my America.
Yeah. There's one guy who says, "We tolerate the blacks just because we have to."
Oh.
And not the fucking Arabs.
That is that's the best thing about him. He plays the idiot enough to let the other person's guard down, so that they show their true self, and that's the whole kind of concept of his cleanliness as a comedian. It makes you so relaxed that you can just show your true fucking
maybe not with
darkest feelings.
Yeah, maybe not with that guy, but maybe some things he gets people to say they wouldn't be caught dead saying, only just thinking, and then he gets them to say it, and it's like, oh no.
So fair play. Fair play. I'm not going to tell him to stop, but I might think again before watching it again anytime soon.
Yeah, it's not something you go back and watch again and again.
I did like the maybe a spoilers, but right at the end they have an unusual the usual suspects kind of ending, and they realize he's the one that spread the virus.
Yeah.
And I loved that. That was probably the funniest part of the movie to me. And it's like, who's been around these countries coughing on everyone? And it's just a super cut of him coughing on every person he saw.
Super spread.
That's a great film, by the way, The Usual Suspects.
Oh, absolutely epic.
One of my favourites. Right, Daz, what we're watching next week?
Right, well, I kind of have a list of stuff I kind of want to see myself. So the podcast is a good excuse to actually get around to them. And so the one I've picked, I don't know if you guys have seen it, it's a Jim Carrey film. It's called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah.
I've always just heard really good things about that, and I don't know too much about it. I think it's like some memory thing involved. Like, I think if they could choose to delete certain memories and what kind of person that makes them afterwards. You could probably look up the premise now, Dad, but and say it better than I did. But I don't know, I've heard good things. It's not Carrey being his like kind of comedic self. It's more, he's had a couple of movies actually that's more serious. And it's just like, wow, this guy's actually got range. But like, you see him,
it's an amazing film.
Yeah, We've watched that, haven't we, Dad?
Yeah, we watched it recently. And actually, I should know this film. I know of it, not seen it. So
I've heard it as well. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to watching this now. I'm glad you've said it.
Definitely underrated. Well, I don't know if it's underrated, but I don't know. It's kind of like it's spoken well, but I haven't had people rave about it. You know.
Oh, that's interesting. Right, so the guy who wrote it was Charlie Kaufman, and he's also done Being John Malkovich and Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. And also this year, right, so when I looked up Captain Fantastic, I just did a quick Google, what's the best film on Netflix just now? And you know, you get the stupid fucking 35 best movies on Netflix right now, sort of flicking through that. And there was two that kind of caught my attention. One was Captain Fantastic, and one was I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which was written by Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah, so, that's actually quite a good film as well.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Definitely a trip. I'm Thinking of Ending. But what was the premise for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind? So we can just have it in stone.
Okay, follows an estranged couple who have erased each other from their memories.
Oh wow!
Right, so it's just if they fall back in love or not, type thing.
Yeah,
the film uses elements of the psychological thriller and a non-linear narrative to explore the nature of memory and romantic love. Right, okay.
Sounds pretty good. I think so.
I love Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst as well.
All right.
I like the idea of seeing them, you know, kind of afterwards, and then seeing. I think they might have to like remember things and see what made the relationship tick in the first place.
So they kind of maybe fall back in love all over again.
Yep.
And then maybe realize why they deleted themselves in the first place.
Oh, there you go. I knew it.
Forgot you did that. That so annoyed me. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Stop putting the dishes in the dishwasher that way. Fuck. Oh.
Just get a trigger.
Aye, that's it. No, I've been wanting to see this film. Well, I've spoke about this film a couple of times with a friend before, and he's raved about it, and I've never got around to watching it. And because it's such an old film, I would never actually get back around to watching this unless it kind of came on and it was right at the start as I changed the channel at that one point in time in my life. And then, so, no, there's a great pick, mate. Well, hopefully it is.
Gives you that chance.
Exactly.
Just
Kate Winslet does another Titanic, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. That's what
are you coughing at?
I'm just coughing.
Titanic.
We don't know the age of our viewers.
I'm just trying to figure out where you can watch it. I think you maybe have to pay a couple of quid for this.
No, don't you worry about me, mate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Listen to you two,
We've got things covered. Oh, okay. And another thing. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air documentary. HBO Max. So it's all the cast and crew from Fresh Prince coming back together for a nice wee chit chat. Looks like it could be all right if you're ever a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air fan.
Seen tons of it.
I just kind of seen that just before we came on. I thought, that seems like something that could be pretty decent. Well, or it could just be absolutely crap. We'll wait and see.
Right, okay, let's end it there then.
Cool. So we've got Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind for everybody to watch for next week.
Yep, we'll see you then.
Kieran, you got a cool, funky sign-off to do on
I've
this?
absolutely fucked it this time. Find us on Twitter at Krusty's Nipple, please, and just tell us what you think about this. I've absolutely fucked it. Bye.
Right, start again.
And in case we're looking for any extra sponsorship, Innocent Gun, you've got a finely crafted beer in lager, which I enjoy every single time we podcast like this every other night whenever we get a chance to actually do a podcast.
What he said.